just drive it in right over the top of the
All right.
line. You ready?
Yeah. I'd like to call the Fire District Board meeting to order. The board meeting of June 17th. Would you all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you all silence your cell phones, please, and try to resist for an hour. You know it's hard. Can I have an approval of the agenda, please?
Can we roll call, please?
Oh, I'm getting ahead of
You're
myself.
going hammering through it.
All right.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Beckman's absent with notice. Fox,
Present.
Verplank,
Here.
Phelps and Radiamer absent with notice, and Miller.
Here.
Thank you.
Here.
Did I call you first?
I know, but I said yes. Didn't know what we were talking about.
Okay, everybody stand up and walk around the table backwards, and maybe we can get this on the one correctly now. All right. Approval of the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Miller and a second by Fox to approve the agenda as it stands. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion stands. All right, moving on. Can we have approval of the minutes of the May 20th board meeting?
I'll move to approve the minutes for May 20th, 2019 board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion by Fox and a second by Miller to approve the minutes of the May 20th board meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Public comment on agenda items only, limit 3 minutes. Any public comment out there? No public comment. Okay, moving on. We have a public hearing tonight on the proposed 2019-20 budget. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Move to open the public hearing on the 2019-20 budget.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Fox and a second by Aldrich. See, I'm doing that. I'm coming out of way back in time. Okay, so I will open the public hearing. Is there any public comment for the new proposed budget? Is there any public comment against the new proposed budget? Is there any general comment about the proposed budget? Is there any comment at all? Okay.
Say thank you. Can I say thank you?
We haven't passed it yet, don't get in a hurry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing and move on to board comments. Anybody on the board have a comment about the new proposed 2019-2020 budget?
I'm curious if there were any, I mean, I was there for the Saugatuck chit-chat about the budget, but I was curious about Douglas or the township, whether there was any.
No, I thought it went pretty easy.
Seamless.
Eric came, which is nice.
Yeah, Eric presented and Stacy backed up. And
Yeah, and
it was, township was a stark contrast to last year.
I was at that meeting, so it was a lot different, wasn't it?
The one comment in Saugatuck that we didn't really have a great answer for, not that it made any difference, but had to do with increase in calls, a substantial increase in calls. Virtually all of that increase falls in other. And
What was the
Other reasons?
yeah, other, that was the category of the calls was other. And one of the council people asked, what are we talking about there? And I thought, when you mentioned calls out on the highway and whatever, but it, for futures, it might be good to somehow try and capture
Sure.
within that, given that that's where it's all, not, and I said at the meeting, I said to Chris Peterson, you know, understand that the fire department has no control whatsoever over how many calls come in. It just is what it is. But in terms of understanding where the greatest rise is, might be worthwhile knowing.
See, when we, I won't take up too much
Go ahead.
time. The way our data used to be, there were two categories of calls. It was either a fire or medical. Then when INFRS started rightfully strong-arming the fire service with, you need to do this reporting and do it accurately, because if it wasn't medical, a downed wire or tree was all fire-related. So those categories are broken up more, so also, we didn't do smoke alarm installations like we do now. We didn't do public events like we do now. So those have really changed as far as the dynamics of that. You know, we get called out and all because the traffic light goes out at 64th and Blue Star because there's no police. So we go out to take over until there is a police officer available. Those are things that, well, there's not fire, it's not medical. So services like that have gone up quite a bit.
Well, like I said, for the city councils, like just the events, I mean, knowing what those numbers are, where there might be some element of control on part of the city council to lower that number, it'd be nice to be able to turn to them and say, well, if we didn't have this, and this, that would have cut down this and such, whatever, it's just now.
Yeah.
Not an argument, it's just.
Well, it's nice to know those questions, and I bet you Eric and I could create a chart that shows, well, what are these other calls are, what they are.
And I just think if there was, I think overall, if there was just an asterisk there, like others, and list out the top 5 or
Right.
something.
And it's
Top 5, top
Well, and
7, whatever it is.
It's in the budget, I put it specifically in the budget off of INFRS.
Yes, it was in the budget. I think that showed up after our meeting.
Right, but not everyone, not everyone reads that, all that text.
Right.
What it is in there, you know, overpressure, explosion, overheat, hazardous conditions, service calls, good intent, false alarms, and severe weather. One of the things that you're gonna see a dramatic spike in is false alarms, because fire alarm systems now become less expensive, and electronic devices are within grasp. And you don't need a hard line, you just use a cellular dialer. So those types of things are gonna go up with technology increases.
But in there again, in terms of a list, if you're gonna list them, list the numbers. Just having the list.
Yeah.
You had kind of the parts of the list in the meeting, but that doesn't explain how it's gone up 400%. If those are installs on smoke, that's good to know. I mean, just.
Yeah,
So next year we'll include that. That's a good piece.
I'll get with Eric, we'll see about a chart that will address that, because that comes up a lot, Dan,
Why don't you put that as a sidebar on the minutes, Chris, because I know you go back and look at the minutes the year before, just so we remember to do that.
other chart for other calls.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, then we'll move, that's it for public hearing, and nobody else has anything they want to say. Got that all in? All right. We'll move on then, and we'll bring up the,
Motion to close.
I thought I closed public hearing.
Okay.
I think I can close the public hearing.
That was on the agenda, I don't,
Okay, anyway,
I'm not sure.
So is it closed?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. All right, moving on, budget amendment number 2, roll call vote. So, Mrs. Peters, carry on.
Well, basically, it's a one-page document that, you know, increased the revenues or decreased revenues and changing around the line items on the expenses to either increase or decrease them. So basically, it's still a balanced budget. We didn't have to go into our fund balance this current budget. So I don't know if anybody has any particular questions on any of those line items with all those numbers, or
To be honest, so DR is you're taking it out of?
Well, it depends if it's revenue or an expense. So the top ones is like the city of Saugatuck, the first one. There's $851 more of property tax revenue that was originally budgeted. And same thing with the city of Douglas, where the township, there was $211 difference. And those changes are to do with their taxable values. And then all the other ones, the revenues are all the first ones, you know, like there's increase in inspection and plan review fees, increase of $15,000 of cost recovery, $484 of grants and donations, $2,200 more of interest, $100 more in sales of obsolete assets.
So those are additional monies coming in that we didn't budget
Correct.
in, and then the rest is showing where you allocated that.
Yeah, the rest of them are expenses where we've transferred over, where we have a excess of money right now in some line items where we have a deficiency, and others where we had to move them around.
Okay.
And basically, the deficiency in the ones are, you know, basically it's all wage driven, you know. The operational wages, fire calls, which correlates with payroll taxes and workers' comp and retirement, and then some of the other, basic ones are gas and oil. I know the calls are up, the price of gas is really probably up about $1 a gallon compared to a year ago, but those are all increases there. Well, right now, overall, gas is pushing $3 a gallon compared to a
Yep.
year ago. It's probably right, it was in low twos or even below
You
$2.
said increased last week, there was some, there were oil tankers attacked.
All right. Could I have a motion to approve the budget adjustment?
I move that we approve the budget adjustment.
I'll second that. Okay, I have a motion by Miller, a second by Aldrich to approve the budget adjustment number 2. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Roll call.
Oh, it's a roll call.
It's money, yep. Miller,
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
and Verplank.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, accounts payable, Peter?
Is that what we just did, or?
Oh, I thought we did the budget.
Okay, so the bills are in the amount of,
Oh, can I have a motion
Yes.
to approve the accounts payable?
I move that we approve accounts payable in the amount of $95,786.98.
A motion by Miller and a second by Fox to approve the payroll or the accounts payable in the amount of $95,786.98. Man, is there something in the air tonight? Is there any discussion about accounts payable? All those in favor, please say, roll call.
Good catch. Miller,
Yes.
Fox,
Yes.
Verplank,
Yes.
Aldrich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Financial report. Keith.
okay, so this financial report includes the adjustment you just approved here a couple seconds ago. So overall, our revenues for the 2019 budget was $1,261,000, and we've collected basically everything. Right now, we're just shy of 100%. The expenses overall, we've spent 82% of what was expended. So the big ticket items, we have $50,000, the bottom line item on page 2, to put towards the capital fund improvement, trying to build that up. And then the other $65,000, I think Chris has got that narrowed down, where most of that's spent finishing the Dodge truck, the large diameter hose that you guys approved here at the last minute, and painting the building here.
Yep.
Where the big ticket, that's gonna eat most of that up, and the rest of it's probably time we have 1.5 more payrolls left for the career guys, and then we have the month of June fire calls to pay, and those top line items there, that'll probably eat up the majority of that. And so there's gonna be some excess left over to add to the fund balance. I don't think we can spend all of that, but you never know on the call situation. So I don't know, does anybody have any particular year-end line item questions on the budget, or?
I hope we have enough to pay this weekend. Man, there was a lot of calls this weekend. on Saturday, not so much on
About
Sunday.
7 calls in about 30 hours.
Next month, do you come with a recap of sort of where the full year ended?
Yeah, we can do that. We can throw, the middle of the July board meeting, we can do that, because I'll still have some bills trickling in, but that's not a problem. I can throw the 19 budget, it won't be the final, but it'll probably, we'll have 95% of it already put in there, because there won't be much activity for the 2020 budget in July, so that's not a problem. We'll put both of them in there, or maybe just put the 19 one, there will be 21 out for now.
Okay, thank you. Fire chief's comment.
Okay, thank you. We're going to quickly go through this. Just 2 things I was going to touch on, and it would be the overall increase in calls, which is about 2.3% higher this month. So, there we are. Thank you, Eric. So that just shows us as of June 17th, we're up another 2%. 2% of 100 is not a big deal. 2% of 300 is more of a big deal. So every month it seems to be increasing. And then the other thing I thought that would really stand out, just to show you, is we track AMR. Eric puts that up on the screen. We'll see AMR's response.
These
That's our times.
response times.
So we're in good shape on that.
5:43 was it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So we're like under 6 minutes, just to show you AMR. It does vary somewhat. Year-to-date is 13 minutes, which may not seem like a long time until you have those serious calls. So we just wanted to show you.
What is AMR?
That's the ambulance service,
Yep.
American Medical Response. I'm sorry, I should have said that. They're the ones that transport. One reason I want to keep this brief was so you can get out of here early for Mr. LaFever's retirement. Second reason is this. Had a meeting with several chiefs. This is probably the 4th meeting. Here's what they're looking at. AMR is having trouble staffing. Retaining and recruitment. There is a serious consideration to be given the fire service on the west side in our area to transport, not paramedic level. And a number of us happen to believe it's only going to work if we do it together, so we can cover each other's coverage area. We would not be advanced life support, we would be strictly transport to the hospital. And that gets to be costly. You can make money. I don't believe we should be making a profit as a fire department. South Haven doesn't agree with that. A lot of departments don't agree with that, but they have a hospital right in their area. As soon as we send 2 people on an ambulance, a van to Holland Hospital, they're out of service. But Holland, Graskup, a number of agencies believe that in a couple of years they're not going to be able to staff their ambulance companies because people are just leaving, becoming nurses. It's much more profitable for that person, who wants to be a paramedic for $18 to $24 an hour. That's what's happening. They can't keep the people. So Holland has AMR and they have a hospital right in our backyard. Chief Tinney, Chieftain Blacker, and myself all feel unless we do it together and give it a lot of thought, probably get a consultant, that it's going to be, you can't just do it on your own.
How does that work? So how do you make the determination of whether you need life support, like more serious than what the fire department can do versus what you guys can do?
Medical protocol would dictate that. And there are other departments that found they had to transport. You know, the way I see it is you'd have to start out with at least one truck to do it. And it doesn't have to be set up as ALS, it could be set up as a transport vehicle. So medical protocol would dictate.
Right, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe that was your question, but what do we do for advanced life support? If somebody,
We'd have to have an agreement with AMR or Pride or somebody,
could handle that.
yes.
But when do you
Right.
make that call? Like after you guys show up first, and then you say, oh, this is too much for us? then
It would
you call in
probably
support, or-
it would be dictated by dispatch. They're the ones who would sort through that based on their EMD system, based on their medical protocol, who goes when. And this is what the discussions have been lately, because, you know, it's an investment. I think it could be handled with EMTs, and certainly the staff. There's times we were riding with the ambulance anyway. But, you know,
How's AMR paid now? So where do they get their money from? They get it directly from who they haul, or do they get it from us?
Insurance.
From who they
who they transport.
And can we figure out or get a rough idea of, for this area, the dollars that amounts to, because it help understand equipment and...
You know, that was revealed that we went to the ambulance meeting, and city doesn't pay anything for ambulance service. Township was paying a $7,700 fee, and they dropped out of that. Now the township board is reinstating that. So their share to keep an ambulance in Fenville is $7,000. So the line is 130th, anything south of 130th, it's perceived that Fenville would handle that if they're available. Then everything from Holland comes to Saugatuck. AMR is willing to run Fenville at a loss. They had those numbers, and I can get those. Running at a loss because it's a strategic foothold. If they lose this, Life Ambulance is just going to start creeping up and taking over. Their quote to take over was almost double what AMR quoted to take over Fenville Area Ambulance, which is Clyde, Fenville, Ganges, Lee area, and Township. And what happened is we started suffering in services because if there wasn't one available in Holland, they would send Fenville to cover it for here. And then the people that were paying for it in Ganges and Fenville got resentful and said, hey, what's the deal here? We're paying for your ambulance service. So I can get numbers as far as, you know, what it costs per run, what they bid for. Because I think they based their estimate on 600 runs in that area.
So when you say other departments are using this as profit, so they charge back the insurance company, and they're making money off that?
Insurance company or the person they're transporting, they bill them. There are a number of municipalities that do that because Fenville has a large area, and some departments up north, they just have to do it that way because it takes too long to get somebody around for an ambulance company. It's not profitable. Why isn't there a AMR ambulance here now? They ain't gonna make any money. They're not gonna put an ambulance here unless you pay for it. And I heard that at the last township board meeting. That's one of the things one of the candidates for supervisor wanted. I'd like to see a presence. They'd be happy to be here as long as you're gonna pay them. And the last time Tony Schippa looked into that, in 2003, at that time it was based on $1,000 a call. We did 400 calls, it was $400,000 to put an ambulance here. We're 907. So I don't, you know, who knows, but I do know that AMR was gonna approach us if Township didn't go into the Fenville Ambulance Consortium. another member was gonna pull out, and then they would close that down, and AMR was gonna ask to be positioned here and use our facility. And they even needed sleeping accommodations, and they didn't wanna pay for it. I said, I don't know how that's gonna work out, we already have it full, we're overfilled on Thursdays. So, unfortunately, it all worked out with the township board going back into the ambulance. So it gets to be kind of confusing and cost, and it was kind of understood that Life Ambulance didn't want to take over the area. They bid it high, but they knew once they got in that it was a very strong foothold. Pride didn't even bid on it again this time. They did bid on it last time. But we like AMR because they know the patients, they know them by names, they know the medical history, they know the area, they know the events. That's why we were all for it. And they loved the Saugatuck area. So to reinstate them back into Fenville was probably the single best achievement township trustees could do at this time, because it was the right thing to do for the neighbors. But just wanted to share with you, but there's been some serious discussions on long-range planning that might involve transport.
Just so the long-range planning also involves long-range financial planning.
Right.
Because we end up, the fire department ends up picking up more and more and more work to do with no payment for it. So we need to consider that. I mean, starting an ambulance service will really, really put a real strain on our budget, so.
Well, that's why I think it's a live question about.
Who pays?
And charging, charging.
I mean, if
I
we.
think for the same reason, I think we need to look hard at charging for the events, which is one of the high, I know there's a PR benefit and community benefit and all the rest of that. But I think if you ever looked at that in terms of hours and equipment and all the rest of it, we're talking about a real number there, a big number there. And it falls right here. And the cities or township or whomever's calling for the events, the school districts or whatever. It's a funny thing, because you've got a responsibility for public safety, and I understand that. But a lot of these events go well beyond that. And may have that. You may have the firehouse thing and the demonstration and all the rest of that, but it's not absolutely necessary that be done, and basically we're giving it away. And that's
right.
That's resources out of this budget, somehow, some way, it's in there.
That's a good point. We're limiting it to 2 people. It's just, we went to our second meeting today for an event, Shakespeare in the Park. And, tomorrow, he's got to go to one meeting and I got to go to one meeting. 2 weeks ago, we had 4 events in one Saturday. I came earlier from Beaver Island to help staff the one Saturday night event.
We have Norman Wednesday.
People don't value what they don't pay for.
And then
Reality.
I have somebody that says, hey, well, aren't you going to loan us the fire extinguishers? You do it for everyone else. And I said, I do it for nonprofits. Is your event profit? And we made that real clear. And it's, well, you do it for everyone because they're all nonprofit. This is a profit event. If you want extinguishers, we'll rent them to you. So let me tell you, it's challenging.
Yeah.
That could be
The
from
meetings.
the fire board taking up a position on that cost and to the 3 jurisdictions, and give the 3 jurisdictions a sort of pro forma schedule of what this should cost, and then they incorporate it into their normal approval like city council does when you approve Shakespeare in the Park. Okay, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, and you got to pay $1,800 to the fire department, or whatever the number is. I don't care what the number is, but it's in there. So so it isn't just, okay, my event's approved, let me go get free stuff from the fire department. That's crazy.
Right, well, Saugatuck has started having a letter of understanding with events because we have so many. There's a letter of understanding. You pay for this, you pay for this, you pay for this, you must provide this, you must provide that. And, really stressed that they have to stop using the fire department for security at an event. We aren't security people. You go hire your own security people.
Well, in any
Or
case-
if you wanna use our security people, then pay us. But you have to pay for events, so.
Events are not, as far as from this perspective, they're not normal course of events for the fire department. And therefore, and they're not normal course events for the cities until the city approves them, in which case, it needs to come right with it. The cost of the fire services protection or presence or any of it is either on a schedule or a flat fee. I don't care, to make a difference, whatever it is, but, not when budgets are this close. We can't be giving that kind of stuff away as much as we are, and we are giving it away.
Oh, yeah.
And as I say, people, you give stuff for free and,
And it's free.
you give stuff out for Halloween for free and it's all over the streets because the kids don't care. It's free.
We like to
Cost it.
reserve our line item of revenue for those events for like 4th of July, which a lot of people benefit in Venetian. The big fireworks ones, and Halloween is 10,000 people. So those are the ones you like to save the money for. So we definitely are, it's 2 people maximum, and
I would argue even those, and maybe most importantly those, because that's where the money is.
Well, the duty crew can be wherever the duty crew is. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're at an event or if they're sitting here. But they're with the understanding that the duty crew may have to leave. You can't rely on the duty crew to do some job for your event. So I know the city of Saugatuck has been working on that.
yeah.
No, you get 1 police officer and you get
Right.
2 firemen, period. So, and the fireman and the police officer may leave if they have a call somewhere else, so.
That even came up today, they asked Elgin County Sheriff, are you gonna have somebody around? And the deputy says, yeah, we don't know who yet, but somebody's gonna kinda be right there. And that's their business,
It does seem like we should have put together some guideline for events with some costs associated with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know, I worked with Kirk over the winter time, and he says, how do you feel about limiting, responses? Yeah, I've heard about that a lot, and he said, well, I'll only commit 2 upon request, and whether you charge them based on the event will be up to you guys, but clearly it's a fee base that they have to find out about.
Mhm.
And he put that on the application, what services do you want? As soon as they find out there's a fee, they don't,
Even if it's $100.
they don't need us.
That would
Right.
cut down the.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
that's helped
Yeah.
with it. But still the meetings, there's the art fair, there's National Night Out, what's the other one?
There's another art fair
Yeah.
right now pending, 2 art fairs, Venetian, 4th of July, Shakespeare in the Park.
There's another,
That's all I can think about off the top of my head
Yeah.
right now.
the 4th of July, there's another activity in Coughlin Park as well, right? The day of.
Yes, they're doing it, yes. There's 4th of July, we got the parade, the fireworks, and then there's something they call, there's 3 things that
Yeah,
day.
in Coughlin.
Cowbell, isn't it, or doing
It's something for the
something?
kids, I can't.
Yeah,
Oh, but there's beer there too.
Yeah.
It's for the
I
kids.
think that's Rotary.
There's a
Rotary, that's it.
Right, Rotary is doing that family picnic or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
But what need does an art fair have for special
Or Shakespeare
service
in the Park.
from the fire service?
Yeah, they don't.
It involved tents, and they blocked the streets.
But what do you,
Yeah,
the fire service blocks the streets for the art?
No,
fair?
we make sure that they don't take over the whole Main Street with the art fair. And then what happened with the art fairs have become serving food, so then we have propane cookers next to tents that burn. So we had to get involved in that because they were all renting 10-foot spots near the basketball courts. So it became a carnival, the art
See,
fair.
that really, for me, begs, where's the schedule of service? And literally, questions for the people, how many propane burners? How many of this, how many of this, how many of this? Propane burners, checking propane burners, $50 each, times how many, times how many, times how many, and that, your fee is $3,800 for your art fair. I mean, we can't give it away. I mean, it's insane to give it away, and particularly when it's, trained people checking stuff that arguably they shouldn't have to be checking in the first place anyway, if people were doing the right thing. So if you put a financial pressure on them, that'll cause lower demand, and maybe more lower demand, in other words, maybe we won't have 30 propane heaters or whatever the hell it is. Or maybe we won't offer food at the same extent, or whatever, but to make it, there's no, if I'm on that side, I'm asking for everything, why not?
Yeah, and then there's the setup, and then there's everybody leaves, and then there's the other setup. And I've seen this at a lot of events where you set up the event and the fire department goes through and approves or disapproves or whatever, and then everybody leaves, and then there's more tents set up and more, I think the Taste had a whole lot of illegal tents that got blown down, so they went inside, but
Well, they're marked, those 12 by 12 tents, which are real typical, all are marked highly flammable, and then underneath it is a cooker.
yeah. And they melt.
And we had one catch on fire, with a fryer, right, at Taste of, whatever the name is, it rotates. So we found that, and like with Shakespeare in the Park, it's a Saturday event. We talked to the event organizers, said, please have the tents set up by Friday afternoon so we don't have to come in and inspect it on a Saturday. Because we do enough of that as it is, Chris and I like to have a life too on weekends, and Mike does tent inspections as well, and they're planning on that.
It would seem to me the system is fairly simple to set up, and I think you set it up with an escrow, where they're writing a check at the beginning, so the cockroaches don't all flee at the end of it, literally. I mean, so you want to have Shakespeare in the Park, that's fine. The escrow for that is, say, $3,000, all of which will be refunded against this schedule. If we have to do this, that costs this. If we have to do this, that costs this. If we have to clean up when you're not there, that costs this. If we'll give you 5 hours of inspection. If you need 20 hours of inspection, that costs this. Right down the line. So then at the end of it, you just total it all up. This is what we did. This is how much all that costs, and you get $25 back. Sorry.
My question, why would you allow cookers for an art festival or an art fair for people cooking?
I went down on one Saturday to do an inspection to make sure the roads were clear, and there was
Cookers.
there were probably 3 cookers in a row right in the park down there, and I said, we gotta move the propane away. So, I did a mass dash on trying to move stuff away and separate cookers from everyone's shoulder to shoulder when you walk down the lanes of the art fair. Let me tell you, it was not pleasant.
The control point needs to be the letter of agreement with the fire department. The 3 jurisdictions do not approve without that. And that opens it up to your ability to set the requirements for that letter of approval. This much escrow, specific restrictions on, no propane tanks, period, none. Or whatever it is, doesn't make a difference, but you set it up, and then they get charged accordingly.
And we never had vendor trucks. The vendor trucks are taking over. Just Shakespeare in his Park, there's 3 or 4, Mike?
3.
3. Let me tell you what happens with vendor food trucks, is the propane cylinders aren't checked and they blow up. And we notified everyone, even CVB, they said, we understand, we sent them all the information, we will be checking that, we will stop you. They're everywhere. Where it's weak is we don't know about them when they come into Douglas, and all of a sudden we go there and there they are.
But there again, the money up front helps mitigate.
Kind of a bomb.
There's gotta be pain in the system, or the possibility of pain in the system. The system right now favors people trying to get by. Why not? The consequences are minimal if they don't catch it, plus I'm consuming resources at a rate I shouldn't be consuming resources, and I don't get charged for it.
You know what's tough, Dan? Can I just make one more comment? What's tough, and I heard this via Jane, and, well, I pay taxes for that. We
I
pay
hate
taxes
that,
for that.
that makes me just,
I don't pay taxes for 55 events here in Saugatuck. I came here for one reason.
neither do
I
I.
came here for the water. Well, I'm here. I fell in love with it. But I don't come here because it's an art coast. I love it here. But the problem we have is this whole thing, I pay taxes or I work for them. No, I don't. I don't work for you, Dan. I work for everybody.
My gut is if we took a good look at those events, and they're gonna be tilted toward Douglas and more to Saugatuck, and people in the township.
I don't know if we even have that.
I was gonna say,
I
are
was
getting
wondering
roundly
that, yeah.
screwed on this deal.
Yeah.
There-
You don't have it.
There's
Yeah,
none.
I can't think of one.
That's not that you don't go to them,
Right.
but you
So
don't.
all of this we're talking about only relates to 2 of the 3 jurisdictions.
Mhm.
That's not right.
Mhm.
And there's maybe 3 events or 4 events in Douglas. Halloween, the school event, the Winterfest, and,
Well, was there anything at the Pride fund last?
oh yeah,
I thought I saw a truck.
that's,
Yeah.
that's changed. It usually, it used to be a parade.
Mhm.
It was a great event, very well organized.
Yeah, that was one.
That may actually make it easier to solve this rather than tougher.
But it, I mean, we have to get our arms around this because it's causing the community a lot of money because they walk away, they don't clean up the trash. We absolutely cannot find summer help for the DPW. There is none. Nobody has applied for a job yet, right, Pete?
We had 3 people apply and 2 people, the third.
We had one of them come in here.
Yeah, just,
No.
there's people are not available, we have one. I think it's gotta be politically correct, I can't want to say one little old woman, but that's what we got. College kids just,
Nobody
either
wants
they're
to.
somewhere
Well, they wanna
else,
make
or we
the
don't
money
pay
in the
enough, or they don't wanna work.
restaurant. They don't wanna
Yeah.
pick up garbage.
You gotta work, when you tell them you gotta work the
Yeah.
weekends, you gotta work a few holidays in the summer, and then,
By the same token, that to me,
yeah.
there's no reason, I mean, I've sat through how many of the times you see that the approvals are given to Gregory Muncy or whomever it is for whatever it is, but there's never any money talked about there. There should be money talked up front, and it has to be a reasonable number to cover, you want kids to clean up, then we're gonna have to pay them $25 an hour, whatever the hell the number is,
Yeah.
and that's gonna cost you this much, not us. And you don't pay taxes for that, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what's hard to hear, Dan, when they say, well, I pay taxes for that. And I
Not
go,
for that.
Yeah.
No.
You know,
No, it's become a really difficult situation.
yeah.
I'm no longer on the CVB board because I tried to make them understand, but, no. So, we have to do something about events because they're just becoming unmanageable. And they show up for their events without who they need. And then they go, well, you block the streets, Greg, you do this, you do that. So we really have to, as 3 communities together, work on this.
We had it today, for the Shakespeare in the Park, and don't misunderstand me, not trying to speak out of turn, I'm having trouble getting volunteers. And Mike and I go, oh. She says, we don't know who we're gonna get. They have to hire people to put the fence up. Because they can't get people to put the fence up.
Who's doing
That's a big
Shakespeare?
draw, I guess.
Is it?
The CVBs do.
See, in the past, with the city of Douglas, when we had summer help, we would put up the fence, trash, but now we don't have and we would send them a bill to get paid for some of the events, because they couldn't find volunteers, but now we don't have the staff to do it.
No.
I know they offered the VFW money to work the race the other day. I mean, and they keep asking, they're paying them, they're
But-
willing to pay, but the VFW guys are
Tried to hire the
getting pretty
Boy
old,
Scouts.
you know?
Boy Scouts, that didn't work, they tried to hire a football team, and families are on vacations, they are unavailable.
Their mothers don't let them touch garbage. That was my favorite.
But
Their
it's
what?
a profit event.
Their
They-
mothers don't let them touch garbage.
Yeah.
Don't know who touches it in their house, but it's not them. But anyway, we need to move on.
Yeah.
But does that bear some kind of, do we need to, create a study group or
Yeah, we do.
to make that happen?
We probably should work with the 3 communities or at least the two communities, to set up some kind of system. But probably not Douglas until after your new city manager gets.
I think it might be good for, to start with the fire department proposing,
I agree.
because we know what it costs our people.
Right.
So if the fire department could propose a framework or a cost structure to the two communities, that would be.
And that would serve as impetus for them, then, seeing that as the solution we've arrived at, they're in exactly the same position, Shakespeare in the Park or whatever, and cause them to go, well, all we do is slot the same kind of system in with an escrow, and we describe the services that our city services, DPW kinds of services, and you pay for that. So you need the city's approval with that, and you need a letter of agreement and a check to the fire department, and you're good to go. But don't come in here expecting to have profit or non-profit, as far as I'm concerned, because nonprofits pay expenses all the time, and they should pay expenses all the time. It's nonsense. Don't come in here expecting this is free. Either way, it's not free to have the city clean up your mess. It's not free to have the district, the three jurisdictions, particularly the ones that aren't even in the game, paying their share of this. Come on. You don't pay taxes for that, period. Plain and simple, you don't.
You know. So maybe Mike and I can work together to come up with some kind of financial schedule, since how you're doing this. You know what they're demanding or wanting.
The cost will be easy because we just use it off the cost recovery fee schedule,
Okay,
which
saw
I'm
that.
updating, John and I are updating July 1st.
Yeah, that's
So-
exactly where I was gonna go with that, right there's our numbers.
Right.
Okay, so why don't you and I work with this, and then we'll give it to the city. Well, we'll bring it back to the board, and then you can take it.
And I'll be
to
a
the
broken
city.
record, but that needs to begin with an escrow. Those deductions get made
Right.
off an escrow, not
Right.
where they come in and they start dicking with you and saying, okay, I'll only take two guys. I said, bullshit. You come in, you pay the, $3,000, and this is the schedule, and we'll keep track of what we use, and we'll subtract. If you don't use half of this, you're gonna get $1,500 back. But if you use all of it, you're not getting anything back.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure it needs to be an escrow as much as a flat fee that they pay up front. Because the escrow means,
Well,
there's that work of reconciling afterward, versus it's just a flat fee for.
it's just that there's so much flux in what they actually, sounds like, what they actually use from one to the next. And
Well, that's all right, we can pay them back.
Or what they say that they're gonna do, and they do something.
And they go beyond it or whatever.
They go beyond their scope to start with, it sounds like
And
it's
I'm
the whole
afraid
problem.
to do it with just a one-time payment, that you'd, I don't know,
Well-
you'd end up having a payment a number that's gonna be,
We'll suggest some.
Yeah, well, let's see what kind of numbers we're working with, and then we'll bring it back here.
Just kind of a fee reimbursement for services.
and I am not averse to having those be favorable to this side of the equation. I don't expect we should get rich on it, but with our budget situation, I don't think we should be turning over any nickels for free.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of budgets those events work with, so, it's worth, I don't know.
To me, that's their problem. Honestly, that's their problem.
Well, the CVB has a lot of newfound money, so
Hmm.
they seem to be the only show in town that's got any money, so let's see where that goes. Okay, moving on. That got to be long. Are you finished yet? You're not?
Just community risk reduction, just want to let you know, there's been 41 fatal fires to date since, for 2019, since the last meeting. Big round of applause for Mike Betts, who's the leader of the Alvin County Fire Academy. He had 31 graduate.
Yes, sir.
31. They all passed their exam, the written exam.
Written and practical. We had to go into overtime is what I'm calling it, but,
Some struggle with the practical exam,
Yep.
but they all passed, which is pretty huge.
Yeah.
31 people is a big academy. A number of us in the room taught at the academy, so way to go, Mike.
Yeah.
Very good.
Way to go, Mike.
Everybody's help, so there's a lot of help involved.
I know that wasn't an easy class, so
Oh, my
good
God.
for you.
All the things that I wasn't taking your time, but all the things you're talking about with hiring people at DPW and let's just say I got a big dose of millennial that I was not, I knew it was coming. I didn't expect it this year, but I got it.
Okay.
You've heard that before? I'm never teaching there again.
Well, then, way to go, Mike.
Mhm.
All right. A big attaboy for that. All right, moving on. Are you done? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
unfinished business. Cost recovery, Douglas frequent caller.
We talked about this. Do you have a most recent one? We're about 67, 68 calls, something like that. So I was asked by the board to look into this. What does somebody else do? A couple of things evolved. Reached out to a number of agencies, and South Haven was the most experienced at this. Basically, what they do is, I'll just read it to you. This is from Chief Weiss, one of the most profound chiefs in Michigan. Chief, we bill a lift assist charge after the fourth event in 6 months. Setting up bill fees for excessive users of emergency services would be appropriate without affecting current users of the system that don't abuse the system. We mostly use the fee to help encourage corrective action in the home to alleviate the use of 911, such as getting home health care or moving into a care facility. For a person who just abuses their body to a point of excessive calls to 911, setting up a fee to test the water of abusers may be a suggestion. I'm just reading this. We've tried to work with social workers and or family doctor with mild success. Seeing them move out of the area usually works best.
Hey, good start.
We have just moved the problem to another community, and I think that's what happened to us.
Very good now.
So, he said, you don't need to look at it, there are resolutions, fee structures, remember they're up at ALS, they transport, but he said they had the same problem. We've talked to a number of agencies about this. Chris took it to medical control. But one of the problems you're going to see with calls ramping up is technology. Life alert buttons. I need help. When that call is, it's not clear, it's unknown, one of the things that came up with medical control is that particular agency was going to bill that company where you push the button because they're not screening the calls. They don't know. There's no follow-up. They don't call them and say, hey, Greg, why are you pushing the button? Half the time it's a mistake. Other times, I fell on the floor. Well, that's what we do. We pick up people off the floor. The problem you run into is when there's a reason, such as we're talking about here, for picking them up off the floor. Families walk away. Home health care walks away. DHS walks away. Everybody walks away from it. And that's what we have right here. Everyone's walked away. We keep filing 3,200 forms, which is real severe.
What is the 3,200 form?
It's basically a form that says this person's incapable of self-preservation. You need to do something. DHS says,
DHS?
we aren't. File all you want. There's nothing we're going to do. We can't. You send them in an ambulance, 3 calls in 1 day. Send them in there, 3 hours later they're back. An hour later they're back. So, I also called Chief Weiss up and he says, sometimes you just have to bill the people. What I want to make sure is the board is completely on board, where if sometimes when people get a bill, it's a sting, well, I'm not going to use those services anymore. Family comes after the fire department and said, my mother wouldn't call you because you sent her a bill and there was a true medical emergency. I want you to be aware of that.
What parameter would you put in place? So they say that if it's after 4...
In 6 months.
Is that what you propose
Yep.
as well?
We have 65 calls. Since
Not
Weiss-
19, just 19 did this year,
19 this year.
after 5.5 months.
So if you follow their policy, there would be allowed 4.
And 3 in one day.
And no, keep in mind too, and I'm preaching to the choir here, it's not that we mind going, it's just as it doesn't seem the best use of our time. Keep in mind, you've got an ambulance coming, which, face it, all the taxpayers are paying for. Not only that, you have the police going there. The police, there's times the police have gone where they handled a call for us, we didn't have to go. So there are more costs. To my knowledge, the last time the police went, the paramedic spent 15 minutes explaining to the caller, you gotta stop doing this. You've gotta stop demanding services from emergency for this type of thing. I mean, they're looking for the liquor, trying to find it, dump it out. And in this case, it's so severe, we wanted to bring it to your attention.
Is a welfare check, that has to be called in by someone else, right, or?
Those are police calls, the ones that's highlighted here, those are police responses where we did not respond.
Okay.
What are the
But
odds? in this-
somebody else calls that though, other than the person, correct?
Usually.
So
Usually, yep.
somebody must be checking in on this person, right, if they're calling in, no?
We can't find any consistency to it, and it sounds like, I think somebody does for a short period of time, and then there's, my assumption is there's some type of disagreement, and they walk away.
Okay.
What are the odds if you build her, you're gonna get anything? It doesn't sound like the kind of person that's heavily into personal responsibility.
Well, what we're hoping is it might help that behavior pattern in a positive way, but I don't know, Dan.
Do they own the property that they're calling from, or they the actual, or are they renting?
She owns that house.
So you could add it to the property
Put it on
taxes,
property
cost
tax, they
recovery
don't pay
if
it.
you need to.
What does the AMR do? I mean, who pays for AMR every time they
They
come?
eat it.
Or, I don't know, was her insurance paid it? I don't know if she is.
I bet you they, see, I guess where I live with Pride, those stopped going. They had that issue with frequent flyer, and they finally said, I don't know if they got something from the court system, they just stopped going.
Wow.
I mean, how much does it cost for AMR to transport?
Probably cost them, probably $350, $375.
Is that what they bill?
No, the basic cost is $600. And then as soon as they pull anything out of the bag, it goes to $900. Transport's $1,100. There's times we made her go to the ambulance.
Well, that's, rightfully, I don't know if it's right or not, that's kind of, our goal is to get, I try to send her to the hospital every time I get a chance. The other day, I was part of the crew that ran the 3 calls there. The first time I walked out, we couldn't get enough criteria to get her to go. And the second time, that's an automatic in my book. You fall twice within an hour, you're going. The thing is, she's become really good at answering questions appropriately, because we can't just make her go. That'd be called for kidnapping. Because she's always alert and oriented, she knows where she's at, she knows the routine. Let's just put it that
Functioning
way.
alcoholic.
So is she always drunk?
I can't say that, I've ran her more intoxicated than I think I've ever run her not. I mean, it's very, very few times. That's why when I go, I encourage all the other officers to call for Douglas PD for a PBT test, no matter what the situation is, because that helps determine, for me, how we're going to treat her. And technically, if you're over the legal limit, you can't answer questions, even if you can't answer appropriately, because you're over the legal limit. So that's usually a good ticket to get her to go to the hospital. I don't know if that's the right avenue, but I figure the more people that encounter her, if we just go put her back in bed every time, no one's gonna pay attention to it. I can tell you the other day, I filed the 3200, Douglas PD filed the 3200, and AMR filed the 3200, and then we got word that the hospital filed one as well. So there was 4 that went in on one day. So hopefully, and like I told the people at DHS on the phone, I just want her to get the help that she needs. I'm not trying to make bad out of the situation, but I think some of her issue there is it's a denial. She's in denial of what state she's in, that she can't take care of herself. The one medic that did give her the 15-minute talking to about utilizing services. She's filed 3200s in the past, and you always, when you file, you get a reply back. Her reply back has been that she wouldn't let the social worker in the house. So if they can't come in and talk to them, and they don't break the door down, or they don't force their way in, they couldn't make contact with her, so the case was done. That was that situation. And I think you'll find that probably in this case too. But I'll be glad to share. One way or another, I'll get a letter back from them stating what they did, and I'll share that with Chief, and he can pass it on with you when we get it.
Well, it seems like if she denies those services, then she's denying all the services. I mean, that should follow the chain. If she won't let a social worker in, then she shouldn't get other services. But this is a real problem, because she's taking services away from the community. You know, what if there's a back-to-back and you need to be somewhere else and you're there? What do you do?
Well, we damn know how.
I wonder about whether we could somehow create some level of public interest in the subject, and whether that might shine enough light to get something done.
What can you do?
I mean, well, you can talk to Scott Sullivan. This is easy.
But
I mean, hell, it's a basic human interest story.
But we can't violate HIPAA.
yeah, that's a HIPAA thing. You
But
can't-
these are public records. These are public records. There's no, I'm not talking about naming the person. I'm talking about telling
The
the story.
situation.
I don't know that we need to put the policies in place for cost recovery issues.
No, I think we got, I'm looking for, no one knows this is going on in either of these two. I mean, maybe a couple of neighbors here or there or whatever, but generally speaking, nobody knows. You got people in this area who are worried more about stray animals than they are about situations like this, because they don't know this exists, at least would be part of it. To me, it's the kind of thing, I'm not sure that it solves it, but it can't hurt. I mean, maybe there's a church group that wants to adopt her as a failed cause or whatever. I don't know, but as I say, you get Scott Sullivan, did you know? I mean, I don't know. You got to sell journalists on stories, but this is amazing.
Well, we had a church group involved with Jean, and part of the time, but not all the time, they probably prevented a little, but not a lot. It was another frequent flyer that fell all the time and needed to be in a nursing home. I think she needs to be in recovery.
I'm just saying, like a Chicago Fire kind of episode right here. People, stand in line to watch that. So what the hell? Let's give it to them at their local level. I don't know. I just don't think cost. I don't know. Something tells me cost recovery. Either what's going to happen is she isn't going to pay it, and what are we going to do then? We file more of these forms, and what the hell?
Well, where do you go beyond filing with Department of Social Services? Where do you go after that?
Well, what we did is, medical control, Chris, go ahead and jump in here,
So we're not the
letter
only
was
ones,
drafted.
we're not the only ones seeing this, that other people in the county are having the same problem with their frequent flyers. And so we decided to take it to the next level up above all of us. And so we invited Mary Whiteford and Eric Nesbitt to our next medical control meeting, and we're gonna try and get them involved to help with the Department of Human Services, and see if they can either create legislation that will assist with adult protective level, or just work with the existing DHS and say, how come you're not helping the elder adults that need it, and you're only helping, kids need help too. The Child Protective Services is great, but there's elders that need help that can't help themselves as well, and so
that's where you want the press.
Yep.
You want the press at that meeting, so they hear this story and cover the story, because they
That might be the public interest, how you could dovetail
the two
the
together.
rep in the state along with local
Okay.
press to call attention to this. And if you know Mary Whiteford,
Yeah, she should be all over
she's
this.
a huge
Yeah, I know.
healthcare advocate.
Yep, and that's why she jumped on it. immediately, within a day of me sending her an email, she said, yep, I'll be there. So,
So that's what we're doing. So maybe we could talk to Sullivan to see if he would be willing to go down there.
yeah, and I'd have to run it by the medical, it is a public meeting, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Can
We just
you
have- we'd
let
have to
me
find
know
a
about
bigger
that?
room would be the only problem, because it's in a small basement room at the hospital. But yeah,
Okay.
I'll work on that side of it.
All right. Let's move
So
on.
this is further on the agenda too, so I don't know what you want, what do you want me to do about this now?
Well, let's let Chris
Okay.
handle it now, don't you think?
I still think we should have a policy.
That's not, that might take 2 years to get in place, that's not gonna do anything now.
Oh, well, all right.
You know what I mean, that's changing the state of Michigan and how they treat stuff. So,
Is there a mechanism then that would cause or facilitate having unpaid fees for overuse or whatever kicked over
Yeah, we've done it
to
before with.
the property taxes
With the
or
township,
whatever?
we've added them to, we had a couple for illegal burns and whatever.
Cost recovery, yeah.
Cost recovery that was the actual, that's why I asked if she's in an apartment or if she owns the property. So she must have some stream of income at some point to be able to pay taxes and buy the alcohol. I mean, it sounds like you need some family member really to step up, or maybe she doesn't have any family.
People are so stubborn, you know, we've got people in our life that you just can't help sometimes, you
Sometimes you
know.
gotta thump your uncles or aunts on the head, that's why they have kids for, because they're gonna thump you on the head someday, and don't forget it.
seems
Is
like
that why we
everybody,
have-
That's what I tell my parents.
it seems in this situation, everybody's scattered like
Yeah,
dust
you
in the
get,
family,
you just
because I
can't
think
take
they
it
gave up
anymore,
on
you
it.
know?
I'm thinking beyond, regardless of this particular situation, we should have an avenue
Yeah.
for cost recovery for use of the services.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would think it should be fairly simple.
Mhm.
You know, you pick your number of
Yeah.
such events within such a time period and pick a number. You got 3 numbers. That's it.
Well,
Exceed
anything
4
over-
in 6 months, and it's $500. Do it again, it's $1,000. Do it again, it's $1,500. I don't know, ramp it up. It's not, none of that's unreasonable.
Well, we've got the cost recovery ordinance, what we can do is draft a policy that specifically quantifies it, you know, we can emulate this if you want, 4 events in 6 months. You can do that.
Yeah, it does sound reasonable.
Yeah, we could do that, and you can implement that with the next meeting, right, as a policy, and then that, effective 1st of July or whatever, you got that deal. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to wait another 6 months to enforce it.
I don't
You're
think
not
so.
gonna be able to go back, I don't
Right.
think.
6 months or a weekend.
Yeah, maybe you should.
I can do that.
All right. Okay, we good with that? Everybody?
Yeah.
All right. Move on. Fire district budget approval. We need a motion that we approve the fire district budget approval as presented with a 0.2% increase.
I move that we approve the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Miller, a second by Fox to approve the budget. Any more discussion? The roll call vote.
Ready? Miller?
Yes.
Fox?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Verplank?
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
I think we all came up with this next one at the same time, but I'll let you.
Sure. Chris brought me this, he saw it online. What it is a way to provide a post along with the sign. As you know, years ago, the board approved providing the signs, address signs. We used to charge for it for a community risk reduction. The board decided, in my opinion wisely, to provide those signs free of charge. Peter found a great source for them. Cost-wise was like about $7. I think it's a little over $8 now. So now the program, we would ask you to consider expanding the program in that we would include the post. And we would put it in. Post is about $8.
$3.50.
$3.50.
Yeah, sorry,
I
I
beg your
never actually
pardon?
updated you after I looked.
Okay, $3.50, beg your pardon, $3.50, and the sign, and we would actually do this as, we would like we put the sign up, we would install this. The advantage of us installing it is, we would put it in, they don't have to worry about that, and we would also put it on the correct side of the street, not where the mailboxes are. If the house is on one side, the sign would go there. Downside is, we would take time to do that, but we would do several of them at one time. We wouldn't do one. We would take a pickup truck and we would just pound them in and be done with it. We feel that this really, one of the problems we have are the fancy addresses on the houses are problematic. We even had one building official say he wouldn't approve the address sign because you couldn't see the address, it was so fancy. And said to the builder, you need to get the right sign out there so these guys can see it. So this is a innovative way we feel as part of our community risk reduction program to enhance that and provide an inexpensive, what we call a T-iron, and put the post in. So we're asking you if you would allow us to do it.
What's that thing under the numbers?
All that is in their foyer, all that is an informational, like an application that you can fill out.
Okay.
For an address. We have an application, the website has it, so we would include that option
Okay.
if the board should be so moved to approve it, or we would provide it.
Or wouldn't we even, like, as you get building permits, just go out and put up these?
That's what we would prefer. We had problems with one of our municipalities where they wouldn't, if we wanted that, we had to go on the website and find that. We feel with this administration, they'll let us know the building permits now. Before we had to go hunt for
in the
them.
township?
Well, as you get building permits, just to put up the reflective sign seems to make a
Right.
great deal.
And Jane thought about that, Chris thought about that. I'm always trying to think of ways, what can we do as kind of a welcome package? It's like our sign says, if we can't find you, what good are we?
Yeah, right.
Is it? And everyone wants us, and it doesn't have to be on the house, preferably it's away from the house. You can see those almost 2 blocks away. Probably the single most effective method of locating somebody. We, ironically, I'll give you a 1-minute story. We've been struggling with a situation where there's no address provided on a house under construction. We've been dealing with this for a long time. Okay? So not only could we not get in this house on the driveway that was approved, there was no address. So lo and behold, the owner fell through the decking. 3 ribs broken. Called 911. I don't know what the address is. Son parked his car out in the street with flashes on, so the guys could find it. And I had just addressed this thing, and he had fallen when I was on vacation in Beaver Island. That information was revealed to me, and I notified the municipality, that's it. Either change this or else. This is all on them. So it's going to be changed.
So is this only in rural areas or everywhere?
Anyone who asks for it. Saugatuck City does not seem to be have address issues. Those are pretty well known, predominantly Township and Douglas.
Sounds good.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I do know it's increasing services, however, this is the stuff we should be doing, not some of this other stuff. Does that make sense?
Well, it's community risk
This
reduction.
is what we should be doing. This is the single most effective tool to finding somebody. Is an address sign we could see at night that's self-illuminated when it's reflective.
I'll make a motion to approve the green 911 reflective address signs
I'll second it.
to be installed on all new construction as well as anybody that wants it on old construction.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
I guess I have a question on all new construction. So it's related to your question of if there's a building permit for a house in Douglas in a subdivision, no one else has those green signs, would you put one there?
They would have to, they're required to have a sign but they might have the address on the house.
Right. So you're not just gonna go out and put these without
Correct.
permission from the
Correct.
homeowner or
Correct.
builder or whoever?
Usually when we run into this on medicals, the guys note the file, and, you know, and I catch that, and then I call and say, hey, what do I gotta do to get you a sign? You know, we have commercial property that took me 9 months to get a sign up, and there's no street sign, and the street's name was changed. So we're kinda done dealing with this, we're done.
So-
There's either gonna, and it's law, it's code, but with township the way it is now, I can't require an address there, but they're gonna change that. So I'm comfortable with all that. But we just thought this is a great way for the board to say, you know, we feel this is important enough, and it's not that expensive, and we'll be careful how we do it, no one's gonna run out for 3 hours putting a sign in. But it would be upon request.
But if your sub doesn't have these, then
The building-
we certainly know that.
The building code requires, the problem we have with one of the building officials is, he doesn't require it at the time of construction. And we've had it where guys cut off their hand in a chop saw, and of course, the carpenter next to him or the concrete guy says, I don't know what the address is, look for the one that with no roof on. And try that in Douglas, when there's 50 houses under construction.
Do we have to make, I mean, if we do, as a board, do I take this to the board and say, I want to make this? No?
Why not?
Okay.
Rarely do we get somebody that says, oh, they don't want the green sign on their house. We don't want it on their house. We want it in advance, you know. And usually people are so cooperative, oh, man, I took it down, I painted it, and I didn't put it back up.
I think, or my bigger reason when I saw this at Muskegon Township was many of the people that we provided the sign for free, put it on the easiest place possible that isn't visible from the road, that they'll find a fence post that's 10 feet back, and it doesn't do us any good there, that by us putting them in, we're also ensuring they're in a place where it does us good. So that was at least my train of thought behind it, and
The medical that we couldn't get in, we couldn't find.
Yeah.
We can't get a fire truck into.
right.
We talked to that guy, the crew went out, we did a field test, couldn't get into his driveway, and that was one of the things we had to say, hey, could you budget to take these trees out, because we can't get in? He says, that won't be a problem, take care of it. Mark the trees with X's. Then we went to him, John, Mike were with me the first time, and I said, I got another issue, would you mind putting an address up? He said, yeah, of course. He says, and hey, by the way, I got hurt here, and there was no address. Mike made him a sign. That afternoon, the sign was installed. I go by it twice a day, right by my house. So.
And the pizza delivery man will thank you.
I think Scooters was the biggest local. How do you guys find any houses?
We found that campaigning, we couldn't find houses.
Yeah.
We have addresses, can't find the houses.
You know, it's like, you know, you got a two-year-old at 4 in the that can't breathe, and there's 5 houses with no addresses on. And it's in the building code. So, we're gonna take those building officials and,
Okay. So, all those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Lucy Street boat dock.
so we have something we wanted to share with you that I think you'll like. I think it will, John, turn off these cell lights here. We really think this would address a number of situations, okay? And we're pretty excited about this. Jane came up with it, Chris, you know, I gotta be straight up. I probably worked 15 hours on this on my vacation, because I kept getting calls on this. I don't appreciate that, but that's why they pay me the big bucks, I guess. This has been probably the biggest problem we've had in this fire district since the whole township. This right here. I'm not gonna hide anything. This has been horrendous, what's been imposed on us. And it all started because nobody had a survey. Not my fault. That's why this was created, because of no survey and people don't know what they own. So, DEQ issues a permit based on the wrong information they were given. So their permit conflicts with our permit. So I've asked now for a permit survey, and everyone got it. And it went above and beyond, because a riparian rights survey, which is water rights, now clearly shows where our boundaries are. We licensed this property. According to the license that I signed, I cannot license this to anybody. It's forbidden. So we came up with a great solution that dovetails with our plan to replace this dock. We're not trying to give ultimatums. On the contrary, we're saying this might open up some doors for this person, I'll call the neighbor, that could expand should the city want to, and we get out of this encroachment issue. So, if we could be allowed to build up, replace our dock, this would be a metal ramp. We're hoping to buy cheap from the city. This is a floating dock, this is a floating dock. Why we want an L? Because the current here is strong. Having the boat here into the current allows us to deploy and return quickly. It's a lot easier to navigate. Our boat, our second boat would be here, primary fire boat would be here. That would leave this whole area right here to be licensed by the city to the neighbor at 730 Water Street. This floating dock would be a great barrier, a great delineation, where these people can come in and return their boats right here. As you know, this dock is built over the property line. Not my problem, but it is a problem because I license it. We license it as a fire department. City can end our license. 30-day notice, we're done. I don't think that's going to happen. City has given us a dock for over 24 years. We've been here 20 years. And when this occurred, everything changed. So, I think this would solve a lot of things. This will not work unless we do this.
Where's the boat now? To the south of?
The boat's right here.
Oh, right there.
This would not be here. The boat's right here, and the other fireboat is on a lift right here. And there's not room here to go around all these boaters that are coming in here. And then we won't even get into the floating thing here, because I don't think this person's ever going to let that happen. He's got the time and the money to fight this. We would oppose any floating dock that wants to go in there anyway. What I get from my guys is, Mike?
Sir?
Why do you keep hammering on me?
Well, give us the best chance that we can have to protect this community. It comes into play in a lot of things that have come up, so please don't take that the wrong way. But that's how I feel about it. That it can be everybody knows what the river's like in the summer, and with us trying to get out for various reasons, that could be a very precarious and dangerous situation for our personnel. So all I ask is that you give us the best chance so we can give our best chance to protect the community.
The current here is strong. That's one of the reasons we want to change, is there's times we can't even get in here. Now with the water flowing, it has get worse. The neighbor to the south says his people aren't capable, his renters aren't capable of returning in here. So instead, they want to put them across us. I object to that. That makes no sense to put that on us. So this has become a problem. This will solve this. The bad part is,
Sorry, how does it solve it?
it solves it, no, it's a fair point, solves it by, our boat is here, this one is over here.
So it's clearing up the space in the...
It will clear this so that we have nothing to do with this. Right now, we license this, we control it, I'm expected to control it. I break the license when I sub-license this. Well, what do I do when I have encroachments for 25 days? What do? I get photos all week long on Beaver Island for 10 days that there's boats parked here. It's illegal, it's unethical, but I'm not here to dwell on that. I'm saying I had to deal with this. I had to do a cease and desist order, because this isn't mine, but I'm responsible for it. I license it. So, to me, this would solve this person who wants to make money, which everybody does. It would keep us, when we deploy, we back off, we turn the boat around and we go out, or we back off and we go this way. Right now, we've got to come in this way, and we have boats approaching. This is a jet boat. If you know jet boats do not turn on an idle. All these boats are backed in. So this boat has to get dropped down off the lift, turned around and out of here while these boats are docking across our riparian rights. They have no right to come in here. This could allow that. But it looks like, well, you know, a trade-off. I guess you could look at that. If you want to continue to use this, the only way this is going to work is if we have this dock. This will not work. And I am being kind of work out an agreement with this person now.
Greg, I'm sorry, I don't know, when you say license, is this some fee you agree to, or how much are we
There's
paying?
no fee. License is a legal term. We lease this.
Okay.
But you can't lease, this is a street in, it's called a street in license, like Butler Street. I handled for the yacht club all the street in licenses through the Butler, because I'm on the board at the yacht club. So this street end, we have licensed since 2000. We got a permit for this.
Okay.
Our DEQ permit conflicts with the one that they were given here. The problem with this is, it was done wrong. It shows the property line is 8 feet. So the riparian line, which is a line in the water, which I don't know how you're gonna figure that out, you know, the line, and they took this and said, oh, they could come all in here, was wrong. And that cost us. And I'll get into the figures in a moment.
So you're talking an extension off the current dock, or
No,
a
no.
whole new dock?
No. This dock, I had planned in 2014 to replace
Mhm.
with a floating dock. And we started working on a capital improvement plan. We budgeted $40,000 for this, including a ramp. This. And we started budgeting for it. I called DEQ, talked to the supervisor, said, this is what we want to do. He says, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. And the person we had bidding it was Light Construction, Al Vanderbeek. The person to the south talked to Al, he told him what we were doing, and the person to the south objected to it and said we were stopping his business. That's how this all started.
Mhm.
Okay, so what the city wants to do, if I can interrupt you, what the city is suggesting is we put bumpers along the side of our dock so that this guy can lease this street in, bring boats in this way, not tie up boats on our dock, but at least be able to bump off from them, because the people that drive these boats have no clue how to drive a boat. It would be like me taking a boat out, which would be ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculous. So this dock is a dock that belongs to the city, and it's at our,
Ramp.
yeah, this ramp belongs to the city and is at our dinghy dock right now, which is being replaced before the 4th of July. That doesn't sound like it's
I
gonna
would
happen.
say coming soon, coming soon.
So, anyway, so I've been trying to get this dock from the city, because it's not ADA compliant, they can't use it anymore anyway, so, but we can use it for our private use. So this would be a ramp that goes to our floating dock, and then the other, Chris, can you bring this around just a little bit?
I don't have it, that's Eric.
Eric, I'm sorry. Okay, the other complaint from the city council in Saugatuck, don't kill the messenger, but this is a viewing deck that people fish off from, and they kind of like its solitude and being able to fish off from that. So they don't want this dock to stick over that. But I think by the fire department approving this layout, that possibly we could get this perpendicular dock in and through the city, and this would solve a lot of problems. The only problem we have right now is this year, Greg has to negotiate, the city has given him permission to negotiate some kind of a compromise with this owner, with him and his boat. I'm not sure what you're gonna do, but that's up to you, because this is your street end lease.
Why would, I mean, it would seem to me, knowing how badly that owner wants that access, that, and you don't get something for nothing, why could we not, I mean, he's gonna get that license, which he craves having.
Oh, yeah.
And to get that, why would we not see what he'd be willing to contribute in terms of the cost, materials,
For the,
whatever, for all of whatever's gonna cost money there?
right.
Because I think that's not unreasonable. Plus, in one of the earlier iterations, and I know, Greg, I'll mischaracterize this a little bit, but as he purported, including in this room at one of these meetings, you know, well, we'll have the Harringtons donate this and build this and whatever. I don't know the good or the bad of that, but if such an arrangement could be worked out where whatever's there is specified and agreed on up front, you know, getting us out from under a $40,000 expenditure, or even half of one, not a bad deal. But your position, the fire department's position on this is the strong position. It's not a weak position, it's a strong position.
What they did is illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
It's clearly illegal.
Right.
Now, we worked with Mr. Harrington and John since the wintertime on that dock. But Mr. Shar bought that. He bought it out from under us.
And I'm not even sure where that is.
We don't either. So but here, yeah, go on, I'll let you finish and then I'll
But-
finish my thing here.
Okay, so I'm thinking the city's never gonna agree to put a dinghy dock in this area. I just don't think that will ever happen.
I personally think that whole dinghy dock thing was just a maneuver to try
Yes,
and
it was.
get something else to happen.
So, what we're gonna try to do is negotiate this whole thing, and what Mr. Harrier asked me to do was to bring this to you and get your approval of this, so that we can present this to city council in a workshop as a proposal for how, say, by the
What do you got?
It's Fuller S, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
So what we would like is this board to approve this, so that we can bring this to a workshop meeting and present this as a idea of how we can settle the problem.
I think it's a great idea. I also think,
This is also gonna cost, well, like, we come up with
So
$66,000.
that, so here's the problem. We budgeted $40,000 for this. We were working on getting estimates, and this thing came to a screaming halt because of this. So, okay, now we're talking $66,000, and that's not pulling out the old dock. So you figure 70 grand for this. Which, there's a water main right here.
someone, they don't
this-
even know where it is.
This thing,
Well, that's in one.
we had it all marked. This thing has gone from move the dock over here to everything, and that's what's been consuming this fire department. I have to share with you what my officers asked me to convey to this board was, we feel this will never stop unless somebody tells them no. That's why I do the cease and desist order. We figured that taking over this whole street in. I don't think the city's gonna do that, but that's what's been the goal here. We're trying to be driven out of here systematically. Well, we're not gonna be driven out unless the city decides to drive us out. I thought this was a great way. This is your zone, no more, no less, take it or leave it. This is it. Because we're not, we're put against the wall here with everything, and my guys are through fighting with the city on this. We are
Well-
through. We are
Well,
through.
I don't think there's a fight with the city.
No.
The problem is the owner, or the renter, and we're not gonna fight with him anymore either.
No.
Because this is how it's gonna be, and if he
Yeah.
doesn't like that, then,
But I think
okay.
you need to make sure that
The water main is one thing we have to check.
that portion of the street end is contingent on some things happening from his side, because if he gets that direct from the city, then our ability to negotiate and get his participation in costs is immediately gone.
Well, but this, we just need a starting point, and
Well,
I
yeah.
agree with you.
But I thought this was a great way where we could, you know, I don't have all the money for this, I'd have to figure that out, but, we're pretty creative about things here, but I thought this would allow, you know, the neighbor to the south to operate here. We're completely okay with them coming in here, it's completely supportive. We just want to get out of the sub-license business, because that's not, we don't want, I had to okay an event with alcohol on city property last Sunday. That's what I was driven to on this. I'm in school all day Saturday getting phone calls from this guy to approve an event that was clearly out of the scope of what I'm allowed to do. That's what's happened here, because he goes running to people, and I'm done with this.
I get it.
Well, and we need to take him out of the scope of
Right.
what we're doing.
So-
He'll have to live with what we decide. So, and I think that everybody at the city council level is on that
Yep.
plan.
There was concern about this, and that's why when I designed this in 2014, I put it here so it didn't block the view. And then I had everybody telling me to move the thing for this. And, you know, I spent,
No, you didn't have everybody telling you to move it, you had him telling you to move it.
well, but then he goes running everybody at the city.
Well, I
and,
understand that, but
You know.
we're all on the
and
page.
we're done with that.
Yes, we're all on the same page now,
But
so.
this, to me, solves the problem. If this guy wants to make money off of the city street in,
Well,
allow him to do it.
then he can lease it.
The encroachment on here is the city's problem, it's not my problem. They want to allow construction on their property, that's up to them. As far as I'm concerned, it gets removed or he pays for it. But I'm licensing the property, so I have a responsibility to maintain this. Plus, I'm not going to put my guys in a position, if this isn't allowed right here, we're going to have to find someplace else.
So we're gonna work with this,
Right.
and this cannot be done this summer, there's no way. So we'll have to deal with retro boats this summer, and this is what we're gonna look for. So
Speaking of dealing with
this is where
retro
we're gonna
boats-
start at.
I have an agreement that we had to have drafted because I was requested to do that. And I won't do any of this until the board agrees he needs to pay the fees for all this. Otherwise, I'm not,
Yeah, when somebody
I'm not,
comes in and
I'm not doing any
shakes everything
agreement,
up, you know?
because we're already into just the lawyer's bills are $4,000. So, I'm expected to come up with an agreement and work with this. And as far as I'm concerned, this was a hostile takeover, why should we pay for this? So I'm asking the board to say, you decide what you want to do with $4,000 in legal bills that are coming our budget because of this was misrepresented. This whole thing was misrepresented.
Okay.
And we're sitting there, and plus all my time on this, you've got probably another $1,000, you know, on this stuff. I mean, I'm calling lawyers after a workshop meeting at 5:30 in the evening.
Like I say, rather than being quite as confrontational as you gotta pay $4,000, I would rather approach this with the notion that that guy stands to benefit tremendously.
Right.
This is his wet dream, honestly. So, the costs involved in that to you, Mr. Neighbor, or the costs involved in this whole thing, period, wherever the costs go, include $4,000 in legal expended already by the fire department, $66,000 in construction costs, so now $70,000. So, as I say, he wants this very badly. What share do you want to accept? That's how I negotiated at the beginning, and then the number becomes the number, wherever we find agreement. But he is gonna find this, as I say, short of the money piece of it, he's gonna find this perfect. What? I get to be the license, hold the license from the city for this area, perfect. That doesn't come for free. I mean, the city's gonna charge you, but they don't charge you enough.
Right.
That's just peanuts.
Right.
So.
Okay, so the agreement is you have to present this to the city because I have to vote on it.
That's fine, sure.
So if the fire board agrees to present this plan to the city, and we need a motion to agree to do that, then Dan will present it, and we'll see where it goes from there. I don't know where it'll go from there. I think it'll go well, but I'm not sure.
So the proposal is build that extension, who pays for it?
Actually, it would be, to be technical, it would be replacing this dock with a floating dock. I don't want to give the illusion we're adding this on, we're replacing this as a fixed dock. Matter of fact, this ramp in the center is going underwater.
And that ramp, I think I can get from the city, and it's a $10,000 ramp.
Yeah.
And the proposal to the city is to create that direct lease to the landholder, and in return for that, have participation, strong participation in the costs
financing
involved in construction and eliminating $4,000 of public expense.
But
Meaning-
should we be concrete with that number?
Should we be?
50% of the,
Well, we can't, I mean, we can say what we want to say.
I would rather not talk about the $4,000 and just say, I think you need to pay for 50% of the stock.
Well, 50%
However
of
you-
total expenses
Yeah.
involved in
I
this,
just-
that include legal expenses as well as construction
that you can do.
expenses.
I just don't think we should be paying for this.
I don't either, but I know him, so I want to get the best deal we can possibly
You bet.
get, so.
And I think, honestly, I'm being sincere, I think this is fine. You know, this is what we want to do all along, but then I had some, we're blocking the view, this is wrong, we're over the water main.
Well, and when we set this up the last time, that dock did block the view, but now that we have a survey, this is how we can lay it on there,
Right.
so. I
And
think-
Kirk was great about doing the survey. Again, we paid half of the riparian rights survey, which was just under $1,000.
One
Just
thing
for
that would
that.
be helpful, Jane, and I can't tell where, I mean, I know in my head where it is, I don't see it on the photograph there, where Chris Peterson's weeping willow tree is.
Oh, God, have you been down there lately?
And the reason to know that is because my sense is that completely restricts the view to that
No, it
north-south
doesn't.
dock, and therefore,
Oh,
the
dear.
view as the dock's view, the dock does not compromise the view at all, because you can't see everything anyway.
Correct. You're
Damn,
exactly
it's
right.
gone.
Is it gone?
The tree is not gone, but
They trimmed
they
it.
trimmed it.
Yeah,
Well, I know they
like
trimmed it up, I saw
10
that.
feet up, so you can see till,
But it's gonna come back, weeping willow's weed, that's
It's a
what we
weed.
do.
Yeah.
It's a weed,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is a weed.
But that tree is right there, and this whole thing was designed with a lot of thought, and it all went out the window. So we're right back to where we think this is best for everybody.
That's the only, I can hear her comment on that. Oh, but the view, that's what came up last time.
That's why we put this in here.
No, I hear you, I hear you.
I don't know.
That's 160 degrees right there.
Good.
And that fireboat is not,
I'd consider the fireboat part of a good view shed,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah,
but-
I do too. So let's see where this goes.
Yeah, sure, happy to.
So,
I
probably.
like talking to that crew, you know that.
Yeah.
this is a win-win. This is a win-win.
I agree with you.
So let's have a motion to present this plan to the city council, Saugatuck City Council, hopefully in one of their July workshops, because we really need to get started on this so we can get it in by next year, because we gotta find somebody.
Okay, I have one other question that I hope doesn't go a tangent. So right now, we have the license for this whole area right
Yes.
here. So part of the proposal is we gave up that license. But we're not constructing the dock this year. Are you giving up the license this year?
No,
or-
no, no,
okay,
no.
so next year.
Not giving up the license, but I'm expected to do an agreement where he could use this on a limited basis, and Jane helped me with that, and the lawyer and I drafted it. And all the officers gave me what their concerns were, and I sent that to the attorney, we built it. And one of the things that's blank on this are the fees. And that's why I wouldn't send it until there was some agreement that we're not paying for all this, because I'm not doing any agreement. And then, you know, unless there's some reduction
Yeah,
on
some shares.
all this, because we're getting, you know.
Yeah, and we can work that, and that's something we have to just work out for the rest of the summer, so
Right.
2 to 3 months. So, we're having less and less summer. And there could be a whole new problem with the fact that that whole corner's flooded now, so. So, this is a starting point. And I wanna rip my hair out, so.
I think it's a great plan.
All right, so, if we could entertain a motion.
I move
Motion
that
takers
we-
is left the room.
So, pumping on somebody's job. Okay.
I move that we propose this solution to Saugatuck City Council.
I'll second that. Miller and Baldridge. All right, any more discussion?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor, please say yes. Yes.
And you can vote on this in city council, right?
Yes, as long as you present it, I'll vote. Okay, legal fees discussion, we kind of touched on that already. All right, and a frequent caller policy discussion, we've done that.
I do have one other thing I gotta go back to this on. I need specific direction, what you want me to do with this agreement for this summer.
Well, I haven't
on
seen
this
the
thing.
agreement, nobody's seen the agreement yet. Do you have it?
I get it, yeah.
Which agreement?
The street agreement. This guy is something else. Is that a Bloody Mary you're drinking? I'm sure you're going, God, that sounds good.
I wish.
We can't do that offline, can't do that like ex officio or whatever
What?
the Latin term is. Just chat about this agreement,
This agreement?
none of which we've read.
We can't really go into closed session. Why don't we all take a look at the agreement?
Can we put it off to the next meeting? Does it have to be done now?
Probably would be best to put it off to the next meeting.
That'd give us a chance to read it, think about it,
Yeah.
and conceivably have the benefit of the workshop prior to that, the council workshop. And we get out of here before
And
6
it's not
o'clock.
on the agenda, so.
Yeah, it wasn't on the agenda.
That's right, it's not on the agenda, so you really can't do it.
Greg, just email that to everybody. They don't want to do it. And it's not on the agenda. So just email it to everybody so they can read it and digest it.
Well, we gotta decide though, are we
If-
keep,
Well, if we
how
have
is
to
this
hold,
gonna be handled, because
if we have to hold a
if
special
it starts
meeting.
going out to certain people, how are you gonna handle that?
We will have a special meeting if we have to.
Okay,
So when you get this,
because it's not complete, because it could be complete, I didn't,
all right, email me your
Right.
responses, me or Greg, and then if we have to, we'll have a special meeting. Okay,
okay, I can do that.
all right. So there's no correspondence. Eric, do you have anything you want to say? You seem to be the only guy here. Fire board comments?
I'll wait for my thing, don't you think, Greg? It might take a while,
Sure.
so, okay.
You bet.
And the answer is, oh, no. Nuh-uh. All right. And, anybody else? Aaron?
Nope.
You got a party to go to? You gonna have Bloody Mary's at that party?
I think a beer.
All right. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.